Welcome back. It's week 3. I'm so proud of you for making it this far and sticking with it and getting the work done. You would be amazed at how many people sign up for courses and they don't actually do the work. They want the end game, but they're not willing to put in the work. So I'm really appreciative of you for putting it in, doing your homework, and investing in yourself and your future in this business, because being a VA is game changing, and as a business owner, hiring a VA is also game changing. And so I'm so proud of you and I'm happy that you're here. So today we are going to jump into what is called discovery calls. Okay. Now we've gone over a lot so far. We know who our ideal client is. We put in the work there. We know if we're going to, how we're going to utilize content, if we're going to utilize content. We understand kind of the marketing side of things. We have time management in place. We know our pricing structure. We know what we want to offer to an extent. And so today we're really going to talk about, like, how are we talking to clients? Once, let's say you put out some feelers out there with, your social media marketing, or maybe you sent that email, whatever it is, and now someone wants to talk to you. Like, what do you do next? And so what we do is we call these discovery calls, and you call it a sales call. It's not an interview though. And a lot of people think, I see the term interview used out there a lot, but in reality, it's not an interview, because you're not an employee. They're not an employer. I mean, if they are, some VAs do become employees, but most VAs are not employees. And so technically it's not an interview. And I can go into some more differences on that too, on why you need to make sure that you are not acting as an employee in your business unless you truly are one. Okay. So for some, this is their least favorite part of the business, and some people absolutely love it. Now, the term discovery call may be new to you. Like I said, people hear the term interview all the time and they know what that means. So they are related, but you are a business owner coming into a call to see if this is a good fit. So it's different than an interview, but you are going to talk about your experience and your education and whatnot. And you're going to try to make a sale. So that's why some people do call them sales calls, but I like discovery call because it's just kind of discovering, who they are. They're discovering who you are, and it's just a discussion. And so I want you to show up with a positive mindset. Don't have a ton of stress around this, because I want you to be yourself. And I want that to be very transparent, because we always want a good fit with our clients. Okay. You want to make sure that they are a good fit and your business is a good fit for them. It may be tempting, but the last thing you want to do is take any and every possible client. And I've talked about that before. We really only want to work with our ideal clients, and we really want to be selective in this process. And the longer you're a VA, the more this is natural. In the beginning, I get it. You just want your first client. And someone who's going to pay you, but like, that client who is not an ideal fit is taking up your time, where you might end up missing out on the actual ideal client. Okay. So I'm not saying you have to have a perfect client as your first client, but please be a little selective. You're going to thank me in the long run if you do have some kind of process or filtering in place. Okay. Now, you need to remember that you are in charge of the call. So you are a business owner and you're going to run this call, and you're going to find out what their needs are. And I want you to be the lead in this, to structure it and be prepared. Okay. So do your research beforehand, know their business, review their website. And then I am going to help you set up a questionnaire that you are going to send to someone before you talk to them, and get some of these questions answered. And actually, I'll link it in the portal below to make sure you have that information, because I want you to get some basic questions out of the way so that you understand what they're looking for before you even take the time to jump on a call with them. And it's going to, I mean, we want to honor their time, but we also want to honor our own time, because we're busy, we're business owners. We may or may not have clients yet, but we want to be respectful and honoring to both sides. So the first thing you're going to do is, well, you'll have that questionnaire come in. You're going to schedule the call. You can schedule it manually. I suggest getting something like Calendly set up because there are free versions of Calendly where you can have, I'm not sure how many events, but you can have at least one event in Calendly where they can, click it and they can schedule a call with you. If you want to converse via, wherever you're talking, email, messenger, whatever, to set up a call, that's fine too. At least at this point in your business. As you get bigger, I would really recommend having a scheduling software set up just to make sure things stay clear and everything's on your calendar. But if it's, your first client or second client, it's fine. You can email, you can message. That's not a big deal. Okay, so you've scheduled the call. You've sent out the questionnaire. They need to fill out that questionnaire before you get on the call. If they don't fill it out, you can send them an email and say, hey, I know you're busy. I saw that you weren't able to, fill out the questionnaire yet. Let's go ahead and reschedule this call to make sure that, you do have time to fill it out so I can understand more about your business or how I can best serve you. Okay. So that needs to be non-negotiable because you're in charge. And if they're not filling out that questionnaire, they're not following your direction. Okay. So then you're going to establish the flow of the call. And like I said, you are in charge. So you're going to tell them how the call is going to run. You're going to let them know what you're going to cover during this call and thank them for taking the time to fill out that questionnaire you sent because, they're busy. And that's going to help you direct this call. And you're not going to tell them that, but I'm just letting you know for your own knowledge that this is how we're going to structure the call is based on that questionnaire that we sent them. And then at the end of the call, they're going to have an opportunity to ask any questions they have. And, obviously it doesn't need to be a two-way street. You're not just giving them a presentation, but you are setting it up so that you are in charge here, which is what we want with our clients because you're not an employee and we really need to be clear about that. It's the biggest issue I see. And so I want everyone to understand that. Now, when after you've thanked them for doing that, I want you to start with an opening question. So it could be something like, can you tell me how you got started in this business? I would love to hear your story. Okay. And then make sure if you need to take notes, that's fine. People you don't have to memorize everything someone's saying. If people see you, you can be like, oh, I'm going to take notes so they don't think you're on your phone or something, right? But people don't mind that you're taking notes. It shows that you're paying attention, you're engaged, you care. But as they're telling you stuff, take notes that might be relevant for later, or if you do work for them, work with them later, you might want to know that. And then this is also going to help you because after they share their answer to this question, I want you to ask follow-up questions and engage with it a little bit, okay? And then as this is going, I want you to consider their strengths and their weaknesses. So remember to keep their business strengths and weaknesses front and center for you as you're asking questions, especially the questions that you've established already in the questionnaire. And so really taking time to review that questionnaire. Don't review this questionnaire like 5 minutes before the call because it's going to point you in the direction of where they need your support most, okay? One thing I find with online entrepreneurs is they think they need this, this, and this. Oftentimes they need these things over here, but until you get to know them and you see how their business is structured, you're not going to know that. They don't know that. But that's why we really want to be in charge of this call and making sure our questionnaire is to the point and answers the questions we need to answer. So then we're going to share why they should work with you, and now that you have lots of information, have asked questions and really have, kind of almost established a relationship with them because you've engaged in such a clear and intentional way, I want you to tell them how you want to support them with their goals specifically. And so knowing their goals, knowing their weaknesses, I want you to draft a very unique proposal that shows that you understand them, their business, where they're at, and what they need, okay? And then after we presented kind of how we're going to support them, ask for their questions, open up this conversation for them, because, sometimes they might not know that, they can ask questions. It just depends on what type of person they are, what their type is. So really, I want you to ask them to ask questions, okay? If they have none at this point, share your story, why you started your business, why you love to, support your clients, what results have your clients seen? And then also, like, if you've never had a client before, if you've ever had a job, that's been your client, okay? So, how did you support that business you worked for? Or, how did you support that supervisor? You have to get a little creative in the beginning. Don't lie, but it's work. So like, I supported my supervisor by doing XYZ, but you don't have to say supervisor, be like, oh, in the past I provided this support and they saw these results, right? So it is stuff that you provided. It just is not in the virtual world, or maybe it is, but it was an employee-employer relationship. Okay. So at this point, once you've opened up questions, the client is going to ask about, pricing and packages and additional details about how your working relationship could evolve. And so you are going to share with them what package that you think would be best for them. Be as clear as possible. We don't want them to receive a contract later and it be a surprise. Okay. So we want to put it out there, and you do need to have in the back of your head, like, what are some things that you want to say if they think your pricing is too expensive? And like I said before, we always keep it professional. We don't get defensive, but we do need to have a response. And so it doesn't become awkward and you're just saying, so kind of mentally prepare for that. If they do, try to negotiate with you, because our rates are not negotiable. We're willing to create smaller packages for you at a smaller rate. But we're not negotiable on that rate that we have set for our business. Okay. And then after that, we're going to close the call. We're going to ask them what they feel like they'd like to do from here, what they feel like their next step is in the process. And the goal here is to find out where their head is at. They're either ready to sign up, they need to think about it, or maybe they're talking with other potential VAs. We want to know where they're at. Knowing where they are in the process helps us to custom tailor a follow-up process, that's going to yield the best results. And so if they're like, I'm on board, I'm ready to go, then great. You're going to, send them a welcome email. You're going to get them a contract and start setting up those communication channels. If they're not sure, you're just going to send them an email later and thank them for their time, let them know how to get a hold of you. Maybe there's some follow-up things you want to put in there, like, if you want to kind of elaborate on maybe an answer you gave them, that's a great time to do it. So you just kind of want to see where they're at. Now, your homework for tonight is going to be to create the sample. So I have a sample of what a discovery call could be like in the resources below. And then I also have a sample questionnaire. And I want you to develop your own questionnaire. Now, if you have a really good idea of what your ideal client is that you've already done previously in the course, this is going to be a lot easier for you, because you're going to be able to hone your questions based on their industry, who they are, what type of business they run. If you're still working through that, or maybe your ideal client is a little bit more vague, you might have a little bit more vague questions in the beginning. And this is something that's going to evolve, okay? But I do want you to have the questionnaire ready, because you never know when someone's going to be like, hey, I'd love to jump on a call with you and see what kind of services you provide. Because once it starts getting out there, like, by now you've already asked for your testimonial. So people know you are a VA and you are starting to launch this VA business. So you don't know when referrals are going to start coming in. So you have to be ready. One thing I want to note here is that if you see positions posted in a Facebook group and you submit your information for them, oftentimes they ask for a video. So you're going to make your little 2 to 3 minute video introducing yourself. It's going to change this process a little bit. They might be a little bit more in charge of the call, but I still want you to send out this questionnaire. So let's say you submit your information to their application, and you submit your video and they're like, oh, we'd love to schedule an interview. And then you could say, great. And you sign up and say, hey, before this call, can you please fill out my questionnaire? And it does change dynamics when they're the ones who initiate the application process. However, with you sending this questionnaire, it's going to show that you're professional and that you take this business and this role of yours seriously, that you want to understand more about their business, who they are, what they're looking for. It's going to potentially put any red flags up if they're not willing to fill out a questionnaire before a discovery call. I honestly wouldn't meet with them. That is your call, but having this questionnaire is going to really set you up for success. One thing on calls, just relax and try to be yourself. You know, I think most people are used to Zoom by now, but I know that being on the camera can be stressful for some people, but just have fun with it. Most people just want to get to know you. By the time that they get to a call, they should already kind of know what you provide or who you are. And so the call is more about them and personality vibing, and so we want to make sure that we get along with the person that we're going to work with, right? But just relax and enjoy it. And not every discovery call is going to be perfect. Not every interview you've ever done has been perfect, but we always learn. The more that we do it, the better we're going to get. You're really going to be able to hone in this process. Eventually, you're going to automate this process. Right now, in the beginning of your business, it's going to be very manual. But please go ahead and take time to start developing your own questionnaire tonight so that it's ready to go. One thing is that if you create this in Google Docs, when you share a Google Doc with someone else, make sure it is view only so that they can make a copy of it. I prefer to create these in Google Forms, okay? Then you don't have to worry about people editing your work, and they just fill out the form and it emails you when it's completed. But if you do decide to do a Google Doc for whatever reason, just make sure it's view only and let them know to make a copy and then send you back the copy. So that is your homework for tonight, and I will chat with you guys tomorrow. Thanks.